Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Arc Garage video. Today we're gonna be installing a new Android multimedia from Atoto with AI. I'm also gonna show you how to hook up the steering wheel controls without the use of any adapter, and we are essentially gonna go from this right here to this in only a couple hours of work. Alright, so we got this X10 Android multimedia from Atoto, and let's see what we got in the box. First we got the main mount, and I actually do like how they've done this. So the multimedia is basically gonna mount on this part here, and we got 3 connecting points. Okay, so we got this bag with bunch of the cables inside. We got our antennas here, port for the SIM card, USB cables, mounting brackets, some ISO connectors, and if you want to hook it up directly through the wires, you got this connector as well. We also got this antenna for the digital radio. Besides all that, we got some of these fascias, and we also got the SIM card. Now here is our head unit. This is actually with a 9-inch screen. So on the back here you can see we got the HDMI input, so you can basically play like video games on this thing. You got all of the connectors for the antennas, USBs, rear cameras, and things like that. And this is gonna be our main connector input. Alright, now let's start with work. Alright, so first we gotta check the wires. Now all of these on the top are gonna be for our speakers, so we are not gonna check them. We will check this small connector just to see if we got power anywhere. So we don't have power here. Now this is gonna be our main wiring. So we got power right here. So this is gonna be our constant 12 volts when the key is in the off position. Now I'm gonna put the ignition on and I'm gonna test again. So again, we got nothing up here, and we don't have anything down here, so we still got this 12 constant that's coming through, but we don't have anything else. Lastly, I'm gonna turn the lights on, and we're gonna look for the illumination wire. Illumination wire basically gives power to all of the buttons and things like that when the lights are turned on. So we got nothing. Basically what we have to do, we gotta guide the wire from the fuse box so we get the ignition 12 volts to our head unit. When it comes to illumination wire, we are basically gonna connect it to a ignition 12 volts. Besides that, I also gotta grab 2 signal wires for our steering wheel controls, and for that I gotta remove the body control module, so I'm gonna disconnect the battery. Now to find our steering wheel controls, we need pin 51 and 38. Now all of these pins are numbered and you can easily count them. I already marked them with a gray marker. I don't know how well can you see them on the camera, but essentially we are not going to use these pins. We are going to use the wires from the connector which correspond to these pins. This is the connector which connects to our body control module. I already counted where those pins go, and I'm gonna take the connector apart by pushing these plastic clips to the side. And now I can pull this black piece out. Again, I'm gonna count where the pins number 51 and 38 go, and I'm gonna count it a couple times just to be sure. Okay, so this is our first wire. And this wire right here is gonna be our second wire. So I'm just gonna cut these two wires. You can see that I left some slack just in case I need to reconnect them in the future. And now I've guided these two blue wires all the way from the head unit, and I'm gonna basically solder them onto those two wires that we just cut. Now that we got our wires for steering wheel controls sorted, I gotta grab the 12-volt ignition wire. So now the key is in the off position, and you can see that we are getting the power here, which is not what we need. So all of these fuses are getting the constant power, and we need the ones which are gonna get the power when the ignition is on. Okay, so this looks promising. Now I'm gonna turn the ignition on, and let's see if we got power on this left side. And we got power here. So essentially what I'm gonna do, I'm basically just gonna use one of these fuses. I'm gonna use a piggyback fuse to give us additional power for our head unit, and the piggyback fuse is basically this little thing right here. It plugs into the spot of the original fuse, and it gives us additional power source, and you can see that we got two fuse slots on it, which basically cover the original component and our new power wire. So this is how our wiring looks like now. We got the fuse which covers our new power source to the head unit, and the additional fuse is also plugged in there, which covers the original component. Okay, so here are our three wires. This thick one is going to be our 12-volt ignition. These thin ones are going to be for steering wheel controls. Now I showed you that we got two of these adapters, the ISO connector B and ISO connector A. The B is gonna be the match for this car. You can see that by this yellow wire. The yellow wire is gonna be our constant 12 volts, and it matches perfectly here. Now there are a few things that we gotta do. For example, you can see this red wire. We gotta cut it here and connect it to this thick blue wire. The red wire is gonna be our 12-volt ignition. The orange wire is gonna be illumination wire, so it also has to be connected to this thick blue wire. And lastly, since this car has a reverse camera, we got a red wire here, which also has to be connected to this thick blue wire. So that's exactly what we are gonna do next. And we are also going to connect our steering wheel controls. So we got two wires for that. Here's one, here is the second one. Now there's also the wire for steering wheel controls ground, but since the steering wheel controls are already grounded. I'm not gonna be using this wire. Okay, as I said, we got 3 wires connected here. So we basically got the orange wire is gonna be our illumination wire. 1 red wire is gonna be our 12-volt ignition for the head unit, and the other red wire is gonna be 12-volt ignition for the reverse camera. So as you can see right here, I basically connected these 3 wires, and I'm gonna connect them. Okay, so we got good connection there, and we are gonna connect these 3 wires to our 12-volt ignition wire that we got from our fuse box. Alright, there it is. Alright, now it's time to connect these 2 wires for our steering wheel controls. Lastly, we got this wire on our main connector for the rear camera, and we gotta connect these 2 pink wires. Alright, and that's basically it for our wiring. Lastly, we gotta connect these antennas, and we got 2 USB cables. So basically I'm gonna place the antenna right here on this main mount of the dash. Alright, lastly we gotta mount this metal piece. For that you're gonna have to buy, if you already didn't, these brackets. These are specially made for Alfa Romeo Giulietta. So these brackets are gonna be connected to this metal piece, and they're gonna be screwed onto the dash here. When installing the aftermarket head unit on Alfa Romeo Giulietta, you also gotta get this doubled-in fascia, and you can get it online for around 100 euros. And now I'm gonna put in these 3 screws which hold the head unit in place. And finally, let's check out our end result. Now this 9-inch head unit has to be the best fit for Alfa Romeo Giulietta interior, at least in my opinion. If you followed up on the channel, then you know that I've installed quite a bit of them. Overall, I gotta admit that I'm really happy with it, and I really like how the Giulietta interior came out. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I also gotta say that the head unit surprised me with its quality. I'm saying that because Atoto went all out on this one. So we got the AI integrated, we got 2 Bluetooth connection, we got this amazing screen which is really well illuminated and it doesn't have a lot of glare. when it comes to performance, it has a octa-core processor with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and we got 128 gigabytes of storage. Another interesting thing is that the device came with a digital radio antenna. However, I didn't install it because it was made for the right-hand drive cars, so I'm gonna get a new one and put it on. Now let's program the steering wheel controls and check out the device in depth. Alright, just to show you this first, many of you were concerned that I wouldn't be able to activate the hazard lights, and all you gotta do is press them right here. Now the head unit is in the way a little bit, but it's not blocking the access to the hazard lights. Now I'm gonna show you how you can program the steering wheel controls. I'm gonna go to settings. I'm gonna hit this one here, steering wheel control learning. So basically now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit the previous song. I'm gonna hit that button here, so that one is learned. I'm gonna hit next song, hit that button. Then I'm gonna hit this one for the AI. I'm gonna hit this Windows icon on the other side of the steering wheel. I'm gonna hit home. I'm gonna hit this menu. I'm gonna hit source. I hit it here. So what we got left is for the volume and mute, and that is basically it. Now let's just go over the home screen. You can see that it's separated in section. It is well organized. Like all of these sections are actually widgets. You can move them around. You can add additional widgets and things like that. We got some of the main icons right here. We got the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. We got the rear view camera icon, so like even when you are driving, you can press that icon and it's going to display the image from the rear camera. We also got the icon for the YouTube, radio, HDMI, Play Store. Let's check out this top bar here. We got the icon for the hotspot, so if you use that little adapter for the SIM card, you can actually share the internet. We also got this wireless icon. It's pretty much standard. You can check out the wireless network, connect to them and things like that. This icon right here with this little rocket basically closes all of the apps, and this icon basically restarts the device. The interesting thing here is that we got two Bluetooth connections, so you can connect two devices to the head unit. I got the phone connected, and on this second one I'm also gonna connect the OBD adapter so I can check out the readout defaults. We also got the icon here for the email. This is like the blue light elimination. We got the equalizer. This is going to be the front cam. This is our picture gallery. These are going to be our settings. This basically allows us to move the different tiles onto this top bar. So here you can basically just drag the tiles. So I'm gonna drag this one for the gallery down, and I'm gonna put this one up. So this one basically just turns off the screen altogether. Everything else continues on working. Now to put it back on, I'm just gonna tap on it and it comes back. Now if I slide right here on the right side, you can see we got all of the notifications basically just like in the phone. Now just show you how this thing with the widgets work. So if I remove this one, so I can click right here on the widgets, and all of these small ones are gonna be basically for the bottom bar. Then we got different widgets here. We got 4 from the Chrome. We got 2 clock widgets. We got compass. We got equalizer. Then we got 3 widgets from Google. We got 2 different map widgets. Then we got the media for the radio and music player. We got one from Pandora. Then we also got 3 picture widgets, the 2 for the Spotify, the 3 weather widgets, and we got 2 YouTube widgets. So I can basically like drag any of them, but it's gotta be like the right size. So this one, for example, can fit right here. If I were to choose the bigger one, I would have to raise this widget as well, so I can place it right there. Now here on the bottom bar we got all of the controls for music and things like that. Now this is pretty self-explanatory. I can pause the music here, I can change the track. This icon right here allows me to connect the phone through the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Now this is going to be to answer the phone. This is going to be our icon for music player. This is going to be our home. This is going to be our drive chat icon. So that's basically the AI function, which I'm going to go over later. Here we got the volume controls, and this is going to be our equalizer controls. Now if I hit this button, you can see all of the apps that are installed onto this device. So as I said in my previous videos, this is essentially as having a dedicated computer in your car. You can download and install pretty much any app which is compatible with the Android operating system. I'm gonna go to settings. So here in the about section we basically just got some basic info regarding the device. This is the reset. Here is the digital assistant. Now these are some of the basic options. However, the one that I set up goes through the app. I'm going to show you that later on. Here we got the different app info. Then we got the storage manager. You can see we got 128 gigabytes of storage on this device, which is more than enough. Then we got the GPS. This is kind of interesting. You can see like all of the satellites which are being used with the GPS. We got accessibility. Here you can change the display size and text. I'm not gonna mess with it too much because I like how it's set up right now. We got the color and motion, color inversion, and similar. The magnification is off. Captions, I'm not gonna mess with that either. Here you can set up your date and time zone, and similar options. Now if we go right here to the setup, in the general, here we basically got the option which allows us to watch the video while we are driving. When it comes to sound, you got some basic options. These are basically the options for the reverse. You got the rear view camera and rear recording camera. You can do like review mirroring, display font, reverse guidelines, and things like that. Now these are the steering wheel control learning options. We already did this. Here on the auto start you can select the apps which you would want to start up when the device is booted. Here's our default navigation. I'm using the Google Maps. Voice button shortcut, so you can see which options we got for the digital assistant. We got Bluetooth. You can see all of the devices here which are connected. Okay, so we got different wallpapers. This is another great option. It's like live wallpaper. So let's see what we got here. This is also kind of cool option. Then we got the icon style. You got the square or the circular ones. Now here's another option which I like very much. So you got different styles of the home screen that you can choose from. So we currently have this style. You got the second style which is a bit different. Okay, next we got the screensaver. You can select right here how long it's gonna take for the screensaver to activate. This is basically for our Wi-Fi. We got the mobile network, we got the hotspot, VPN, and that is basically it for the settings. Alright, now let's check out the music player. You can see that this is completely different from their previous devices. Now, the one thing that some of you might not like is that no album artwork is going to be displayed here. Essentially what they did, they put their own wallpapers. So we got this red one, then we got this gray one, and so on. If I hit this button here, we can select our source. I'm gonna hit back, and on the right side we got all of the songs displayed. So I kind of really do like this music player, I gotta admit. It's nice, clean, it looks great, and it's very functional. I was gonna show you this option, the palette. Here you can play around with the colors. You can see that the background is now in blue color. You can select the different options. Here you can set the intensity. We got the widget opacity here. So I'm gonna hit apply, and we're gonna leave it like this. If you wanna split the screen, you can do that as well, as long as the app allows that option. So I'm just gonna slide this from the bottom. I'm gonna hit split, and I'm gonna split it with YouTube. You can see that we now basically got two apps running on the screen. Now let's check out the radio. Now all of the options are pretty standard. I didn't find any of the stations yet, but their name does display down here. Everything is nice and user friendly. As you probably already know, this device supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is very easy to connect. All you gotta do is hit this icon. Now you can see here you got your music on the left side, you got your map on the right. You can actually interchange these. You also got all of your contact, all of your music, and some of the basic apps, as you can see right here. So this function is really useful. I was gonna show you the equalizer. Now I'm no expert in this in any way, but we got some presets here on the left sides, and you can do a bunch of fine tuning here. We also got the field option, so you can set up the sound either for driver, co-driver, or a rear, or you can manually move this dot. Now here we got again some custom presets which you can use to set up the sound. Now let's check out the AI function. Can you tell me how often should I replace oil in my Alfa Romeo Giulietta?
For the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, the recommended interval for oil replacement is every 10,000 to 15,000 kilometers. Regular oil changes are crucial to maintain the performance and longevity of the engine.
So as you can see, it is a bit off when it comes to oil replacement interval, but it's still better than the factory's 30K. Can you tell me how far is the city of Belgrade from the Graz in Austria?
The distance from Graz, Austria to Belgrade is approximately 470 kilometers.
It gave me the air distance, so I would need to be more specific. Now when it comes to the use of AI inside the cars, these are probably its humble beginnings. As you saw, you can ask it some basic questions, but don't expect anything spectacular. Now, to conclude this video, I'm gonna share with you my overall impression of the device. As I mentioned earlier, judging by its overall quality, I gotta say that it is one of the best head units that I personally installed in the car. I like how it feels, and it gives me that factory impression which I rarely get from any aftermarket head units. Anyway, that would be all for this video. I hope you find it useful and interesting. If you did, hit that like button and support our channel by subscribing.